Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Jessica and today I'm going to show you how to make some watercolor Christmas cards. This is going to be part 1 of a part 2 series. So let's start with how to make a card. You need some watercolor paper, which is at least 140 pounds. I am using 9 by 12, but you can use a smaller size. On a 9 by 12 sheet, this is what a card would look like. I measure 7 inches up, 10 inches across, and I make a dotted line down the center of where I'm going to fold. The 2 side areas are scrap and can be cut off. Once you cut out your card, you can fold it in half. 5 by 7 is a standard American greeting card, but you can do any size you like. And you can have it in portrait or landscape. So let's start with a poinsettia card. The supplies you will need are 2 jars of water, 1 clean water for mixing paint, and the other one to rinse off your dirty brush. Next, you will need some Scotch tape to mask off an area of the card to remain white, a big brush and a little brush for details. And these are the colors I will be using, but you will need a dark green, a red, a light brown, and a dark brown of watercolor paint. Then I use some gold acrylic paint for accents, but this is optional. I'm going to do a landscape card. So I'm going to start by taking the Scotch tape and cutting off the end to make it an even sides and place it in the center. First, I stick the tape on my pants or clothes to reduce the stickiness so it does not tear or rip the watercolor paper. You basically want to just block off a square in the center of your card. Make sure all the edges are taped down good so that paint does not go underneath. First, I'm starting with the dark green and I'm doing a very light wash, meaning lots of water with very little paint. And I'm just going around the border of the Scotch tape, making sure to touch the tape but not go underneath. And you don't want it even. It would look weird with very straight sides, so just be very loose with it. And then I clean off the wet paint. Next, I'm mixing up some red to start my poinsettias. Here I'm using the small detailed brush. You want to think of like a star, and I'm just drawing a point. You don't want straight sides because a poinsettia leaf is not very straight. So pretend the other 2 leaves are underneath the tape and make sure to paint all the way to the tape border. Then you want to do the same thing on the opposite corner. Next, while we are waiting for the poinsettias to dry, you want to take some of the dark green paint, but thick, so little water and more paint, and take that tiny detail brush and just draw a line and some strokes. Like flick your brush outward so that you are creating pine needles. Make sure to keep the lines very thin. And here I do this all the way around the border. You can do different sizes and do them in different directions. Next, I'm taking some more of that red paint, but this time it's going to be thicker. So little water, more paint. And I'm doing the leaves that would be the underneath of the poinsettia. And they should be darker than the leaves on top and a little bit shorter. Next, we're going to do pine cones. So take that light brown and get a mixture with a lot of water so it's very light, and basically do egg shapes. I put one on each corner and then fill in some gaps around the pine needles, and I do them different sizes. Also, a little trick is to flick your brush outwards a little to mimic the woody scales of the pine cone that stick out. You're going to take that light brown paint and fill in some open areas with little twigs. You want to flick the paint out and do little skinny branches. It's okay if they overlap your pine needles. Next, once the pine cones are dry, you're going to take the dark brown paint and start with a triangle in the center. Then you're going to draw like a fin outwards from that triangle and down. And just repeat this technique to make the woody scales of the pine cone that stick out. You want to make sure the pine cones are totally dry first before doing this step, or else the paint will bleed into each other. Next, I'm going to take some red paint and just do little dots at the end of each little branch. Next, I'm taking that gold acrylic paint for the accent, and you need very little. I am just going to use the paint that's on the cap. So using that small detailed brush, I'm just getting a little paint on the tip, and I'm going to start by putting dots in the center of the poinsettias. Then I'm going to continue placing dots randomly around the border to fill in empty areas and add a nice touch. Once the card is totally dry, you can start slowly peeling off the Scotch tape. Be careful not to rip your paper. When you are complete, you now have an empty space where you can write a greeting. And here is a close-up. You can see that some of the Scotch tape did tear some of my paper, but the border still looks beautiful. You can also do this in different color schemes. Here is one I did with blue, purple, and silver, using the same exact technique. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or if you do follow this tutorial and make your own Christmas cards, please put a picture in the comment below. I'd love to see what you guys make. happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye!